The Ultimates by Mark Millar and Brian Hitch is a retelling of The Avengers, serialized in floppy issues from 2002 to 2004. It was as such that I found it on a rack in a comic shop in New Orleans and entered into the story on a sunny Louisiana afternoon in 2003. With Batman Hush, the Ultimates inspired me to teach comics, and so as we near the end of this course we come back to its beginning, to Mary Jane Watson and Mark Raxton, and to Marvel's turn-of-the-century relaunch of their Silver Age stories, and to a central question: what is art? That is, if comics have built their own authority outside of the solace of the Academy, we might well wonder what is the boundary line between art and entertainment. Where do comics stop being simply entertainment media and start becoming art? Do we even need to draw that line? I titled this lecture, War Machine. I call it so because the Ultimates depict the American superhero as a glorious war machine, one sent into Sacco's Middle East of dead ends, ambushes, and false turns to sort things out. But like Sacco's depiction, this machine is fated to conflict and loss, and inspires a generation of resistant fighters, superheroes themselves who come to New York and topple the Statue of Liberty, at which point their leader, Abdul al-Rahman, a hero inspired by Captain America, announces, "We told you to stop making super people, America. We told you not to interfere with cultures you can never understand." So Mark Millar and Brian Hitch present us with a commercial and derivative work that attempts to take on problems of global politics, in which the supervillain from another land is inspired by America's hero to tell America that it simply can't understand. This is Superhero Comics after Alan Moore. The Ultimates is part of the second British invasion after Neil Gaiman, one that included Warren Ellis. Millar and Hitch are both British, Hitch from Northern England and Millar from Coatbridge, Scotland. In 1999, Warren Ellis, the author of Planetary, and Hitch teamed together to create The Authority, a super team based loosely on the Justice League. Here, the Batman figure, Midnighter, and his lover, the Superman figure, Apollo, embrace. That's one way of looking at it. Maybe we saved two worlds. Get a room, you two. Maybe we just did what we said we would do all along, changing things for the better. One Earth down, one to go. The Authority's mission is to change the world, so they become directly involved in global politics, unseating dictators and giving orders to the President of the United States. After the series' first year, Ellis and Hitch moved on. Millar, with an artist who goes by the name Frank Quitely, a pun on Quite Frankly, took it over with issue number 13. Millar and Quitely introduced a new supergroup to battle the Authority. Compare the Authority issue number 14 and the Avengers issue number 1. You can see the Authority has the Tank, a kind of Iron Man. The Hornet stands in for the Wasp. There's a giant man instead of another Ant-Man, a Norseman, and a hulking monster. Topped off with the Patriot as Captain America, they are the Avengers' evil twin, deployed to put the Authority back in line. Their first mission is to head off the spirit of the 21st century, baby Jenny Quantum, who they find in the maternity ward of a Singapore hospital. The new supergroup decimates the entire hospital. The Authority arrive on the scene to save baby Jenny, and the superfoes end up chasing down the Authority's mystical Doctor, who has escaped with her. "We know you're not a brave man, Doctor. You're not a born killer like the rest of us. You're just an ex-junkie Jenny Sparks found lying in an Amsterdam gutter who tried to kill himself when his cat died. All that was special about you were the post-human abilities you lucked into. Take them away and you're just a hippie in a bad place. But it doesn't have to end like this. Titan blocking the parts of your brain which make you the shaman of the global village, or whatever you call yourself, doesn't mean you have to die like that stupid cat. All those black ops in Kosovo and Iraq have given us a very strange sense of humor, Doctor. Kill the baby, and we swear to gosh we'll let you go." Millar envisions a world in which the comedian's brand of heroism is taken over, in which superheroes are an extension of the state military apparatus, mercenaries who serve in Kosovo and Iraq. Quitely's sense of human anatomy furthers this vision by illustrating the team as bloated by their powers, their chests and chins too large, their bodies puffy with muscles. Physically and morally, they are grotesques. In this, Millar and Quitely write capitalism as a mode of human production as well as economic production. That is, Millar and Quitely create these superheroes as capitalist tools, shaped into exceptional beings by a military capable of building bodies with hormone injections and surgical implants, of armoring and training soldiers so that they become superheroes on the condition that they follow orders well. These are superheroes as contractors, fulfilling the mission for the powers who constructed them. We see this in our own world. Capitalism shapes our athletes into exceptional beings and gives them costumes bearing the marks of the sponsors who facilitate their training. Capitalism shapes movie stars into larger-than-life heroes, but they too serve at the will of the companies they sign with. Art allows us to see both the way our society creates its gods and to criticize this creation, giving us perspective on the media. And so we come to the second return of Captain America. Marvel introduced the Ultimates to address a problem of 60 years of superhero comics: continuity, or as Ellis described it in Planetary, decoherence. For the stories of the Marvel Universe had grown old, and the superheroes born in the Silver Age had become so overly ornate, so rooted in the details of their own history, so complex that new readers could not find a way in. This is both a narrative problem and an economic problem, a problem for storytelling and for the marketing and selling of stories to a new audience. In 2000, Marvel introduced the Ultimates line, a restart of its major franchises that might jettison some of the baggage of the past 60 years and recast the heroes in a new, more contemporary reality. Millar and Hitch began the Ultimates as a retelling of Avengers 4, in which Captain America was discovered frozen in an ice floe since World War II, since fighting Hitler in the Golden Age. Millar and Hitch performed this retelling lovingly, recreating Captain America as a Golden Age war hero and expanding the story from Stan Lee and Jack Kirby's single issue to an entire 2-year arc. Their story incorporates the original's theme of the fifth column as well, first as a group of aliens hiding in America, oddly still as Nazis, and then as a story in which the Ultimates turn against one another, suspecting each other of treason, and finally discovering that Thor's brother, Loki, has made a compact with a group of European, Russian, Chinese, and Iranian heroes to overthrow American imperialism. Avengers 4 featured a story of alien encounter, a story in which the alien used a camera-like gun to freeze the Avengers as statues. As we explored that story, we saw Kirby struggle and agon with various forms of suspended animation, photography, and statuary. This too is in the Ultimates, but in it, Millar and Hitch struggle not with photography, but with film, crafting their heroes clearly to parallel the movie The Matrix of 1999. Here in issue 8, from November of 2002, the Black Widow and Hawkeye look exactly like Neo and Trinity from that movie of only 3 years before, and as in the movie, they attack an office building, which is in fact a hive of alien activity, aliens masquerading as cubicle workers. Ultimates not only struggles with movies, it worships them. For example, in issue 4, the characters nudge themselves from their boredom by talking about who will play them in a blockbuster movie. Weeks pass. The recreation room. Well, no Thor, no super soldier serum, and not even the merest hint of a supervillain for us to hit, gentlemen. If it weren't for this 2-year merchandising campaign Stark tied us into, I bet they'd be pulling the plug on us right now. Hey, did you hear you've been optioned as a movie? Betty Ross was telling me they are already in discussions with Brad Pitt about a 3-picture deal to play Captain America. Who's Brad Pitt? What? Are you serious? My God! This might not be such a disaster after all, huh? Who do you think they get to play you, Nick? Why, Mr. Samuel L. Jackson, of course. That's not even open to debate, Dr. Pym. This is the problem with the Ultimates. It's so involved with its own merchandising and its own imagination of a blockbuster film that it loses itself in its own widescreen format. Millar and Hitch are deadly slick, and the Ultimates is indistinguishable from its critique. There appears no critical distance in the story, character, or art form. In the Ultimates, widescreen is both the form and the content. For the Ultimates defines superpower as star power. Its heroes embody this power. And this is not far from Millar himself, for Millar has made a success of developing his comics into movies. His first graphic novel, Wanted, was made into a movie starring Angela Jolie in 2008. His recent series, Kick-Ass, became a movie in 2010, with a sequel in 2013. Ultimates has been transformed into a universe of movies. Iron Man in 2008 picks up the version Millar wrote in Hits Illustrated. Iron Man 2 followed up in 2010. Captain America in 2011. Thor in 2011. And finally The Avengers in 2012 all follow in the Ultimates' footsteps. Nick Fury got his way. Samuel L. Jackson plays him. The Ultimates reach for a synthesis between comics and the entertainment industry. It does this both in the productions developing from it and within its plot. Within the plot, it writes a synthesis between the military-industrial complex and the star power of the entertainment industry. So, in the second story arc, after locking Thor in a high-tech dungeon, Fury summons Captain America, Tony Stark, and Hawkeye to his penthouse boardroom to tell them something has come up in the Middle East, and sends them into Iran to defuse the nuclear program there. In the Ultimates, the military-industrial complex is the entertainment complex. Here's Janet Pym, the Wasp, getting her hair done. See, that's what I couldn't understand. USA Today said Thor was the one who took down that big mothership, but People magazine said it was Tony Stark. Well, let's just say Tony owns a 52% stake in People magazine, so I'd go with USA Today, Andrew. Must be amazing being in all the papers like this, Mrs. Pym. It's like everything I pick up's got your face on it right now. But do you ever, actually buy this stuff? Of course I do. How could you not see yourself in a magazine and not pick it up? I've got a pile of about 200 newspapers back home just waiting to be clippings. Even Thor said he's been online all week doing Google searches to see what people thought of his performance. Excuse me a second. Hello? Janet, it's me. Don't hang up. In this world, star power is the essential good, and everything gravitates to and from it. Even the god Thor checks Google to see his status. Capitalism is a mode of human production as well as economic production, and it is the answer to everything. Confused about conflicting reports in the news? Check who owns the paper. No matter that the same government agency responsible for the disaster covers it up, in the Ultimates, the first enemy is the Hulk, and Ultimate all along. The answer is the same. Be gorgeous. Be beautiful. Be famous. Be comforted by the fact that the God of Thunder is on our side. But above all, in the world of the Ultimates, be angry. Rage if you find your ego weak or if your girlfriend dates around. Explode your size. Be ripped. Be huge. Tear things down. Fight. And when you fight, see your anger as righteous, as cold authority over your loved ones. And if you can't be angry enough, at least be self-absorbed. At least be like multi-billionaire Tony Stark, who looks cute at all times, especially when he's drunk. Sorry, Larry. Could you repeat the question? Shannon Elizabeth just made me laugh, and I think some of this Bollinger 69 went up my nose. Be so self-absorbed that you can't be polite. Banner and I spent 6 months trying to get Thor to join the team, and the one thing we never thought of was inviting him to dinner. Assert your importance over politics, over suffering, over complication. Here, after the colossal battle with the Hulk that rips apart Lower Manhattan, a thin allegory for 9/11, Betty Ross, who inspired the whole thing, feels, well, a little guilty. There's a little part of me feels a tad responsible for all this, General. So bloat your ego. Be a superstar. Live in widescreen. This is the critique of the Ultimates. Or is it the message? For there appears no way out in the Ultimates. So the Ultimates end up in Iran. Here, Captain America evacuates some refugees. Okay, I want everyone out of here and into the trucks. We got food and toilet facilities 10 miles up the road. We're doing this for your own protection, people. Move! Captain America's superpower inspires callous arrogance. Think, too, of this scene when Tony Stark finds his self-confidence to return to the battle with the aliens. Ladies and gentlemen, if you'd all stand back, please. I believe I've got a job to do. Better him than us, huh? Tell me about it, man. Hey! Tony gets a little thumbs up from a kid in the crowd and he returns it heroically, but the soldiers are indifferent thugs. The overarching thesis of the book is summed up in the Colonel's remark. This is what happens when your ambitions outstrip your capabilities. The empire takes a fall. Congratulations, ladies and gentlemen. But how can this happen? Captain America, that symbol of democracy against tyranny, from the perspective of the young Abdul al-Rahman, looking up as he is told to move, looks more like a symbol of fascism. There seems no way out, for within the comic, Abdul al-Rahman becomes the Colonel, a knockoff enemy inspired by the Avengers, his costume bearing its inexplicable W, inspired by the Wonder Man of Avengers number 9, who teamed with a similar group of counter-heroes. The Ultimates offers a critique and a message. At times, these two qualities seem very close. Still, it offers a way of looking at a number of important issues in American culture, at a morality of star power based in self-aggrandizement, at a media unable to distinguish between celebrity and news, and at the intersection of fiction and reality in the overriding mission of sales. To my mind, then, the dividing line between critique and message is the dividing line that the Ultimates play on, in that the Ultimates give us perspective on the very conditions that produce it. Capitalism produces the Ultimates as a superhero group, and capitalism produces the Ultimates as a comic book relaunch. It has depth, and it mingles art and entertainment very closely, achieving a kind of frisson of ambiguity. Thus, as long as there is a way of looking at Captain America in this panel as both an inspirational hero, as an ambiguous figure as well, then this is a thoughtful and imaginative entertainment that reaches to art. It is, in my view, a way of understanding American culture that might allow it to understand other cultures, that might allow it a way out of the dead end. Art has the power to give us perspective on the media. Unless it is subsumed by the media, then it decoheres.